One unique way to be more happy. Hi guys, how are you doing today? Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about one unique way you can become more happy. First thing I want to talk about though is a bit of a disclaimer, I guess, and that is there is no way that you can be happy all the time. And you see it a lot in the personal development niche that you can be happy all the time and motivated all the time. And I've spoken about this quite a lot recently. Happiness fluctuates. There's no way that you can be happy bouncing off the walls all the time. That's just unrealistic. But there are definitely ways that you can improve your day and boost your mood. Those things are available to you, and those are things that you can definitely do. But you need to keep in mind that if you're trying to be happy all the time, and you're not, and that's your primary way of trying to live your life to be happy all the time, you're going to set yourself up for failure, because there are going to be days where you're not in a good mood, and it could be for a certain amount of reasons. Like you could have had an argument with someone, you could have not had enough sleep, or you didn't have enough to eat, or you didn't exercise. There are numbers of factors that go into what constitutes to boosting your mood and what constitutes to your own personal way of having a good day and being pleased with your day. But like I said, there are definite ways to boost your mood, and this is what I believe to be one unique way of doing that, one unique way of becoming more happy, and that is to not multitask. This is something that I've recently discovered with myself, and that is, if I am watching TV and I am looking at my phone, I tend to feel bad. It confused me for a little while when I was either watching a movie or watching TV or something, and I was doing something else. I noticed that it lowered my mood. But when I actually focused on one thing at a time, like if I put my phone down and watched whatever program I was watching or whatever movie I was watching, I felt better. I felt more engaged in what I was doing, and that made me feel more happy. I also found this with reading. I found myself to be in a much better mood if I was simply reading in peace and quiet and not listening to anything or trying to focus on something else. It was much easier for me to feel happier when and my mood boosted when I was simply reading alone in a quiet place. So I'm going to talk now about the areas that you should not multitask in. And of course, this is going from my own experience, because I know there probably are people out there that can multitask and it doesn't affect their mood. But these are things that have just worked for me, and these are the areas that I know for sure I should not multitask in, and see if they work for you as well. So I've already spoken about the first one, and that is reading. When I'm reading a book, I feel a lot better and I feel my mood has boosted, because it puts my focus and attention on one thing. And when you have your focus and attention on one thing, it boosts your mood. The next area you should not multitask in is when you are having a serious conversation with a loved one. If you are having an important conversation, it's important that you turn your TV off, or you put your phone down, or you stop whatever it is that you're doing to have this serious conversation. Now, of course, there are areas where, of course, if you're in your car and you're talking to your loved one, obviously you have to multitask at that point. But if you're having a serious conversation, and if your spouse or your children come up to you and they want your attention and there's something on their heart, you have to focus your attention on them, because they will be able to tell if you're not really listening. And this is a practice that I am definitely trying to get better at. I often find when my partner comes home and she is talking to me about her day, I can feel myself wanting to do other things while she is talking to me, and I really have to stop myself from doing it so I can actually listen to her. Because if I don't listen to her, she will be able to tell if I'm not listening. And I know I certainly can tell. And the way I can tell is that sometimes I'll have to often say to her, "Can you repeat what you just said? I didn't quite hear that." So there's a difference between paying attention to someone and listening as well. So you need to really listening and not just hear what your loved one is saying. You have to really pay attention and focus on them, and they will love you for it because they can tell that you are finding them very important. And we tend to focus on things that we think are really, really important. It's like when let's say you are watching TV and the news comes on. And, you know, most of the time you could probably look at your phone and do other things while the news is on. But then you hear something that sounds really important. So it could be, you know, something about the pandemic that we're going through right now. Or it could be, you know, something else, you know, let's say, you know, like someone important dies, like the Pope or the Queen or something. You know, when someone important dies, you know, that usually catches our attention, and then we look at the TV and focus on it because it's important to us in some way, or it's important to the world in some way, and important to humanity. But usually you don't have to really listen and watch the news actively. But when those important things happen, that's when our focus seems to change. And that goes into my next area where you should not multitask, and that is when you're watching a TV program or a movie. One of the reasons why being in a cinema is such a great experience is because there are literally, well, there's hardly any distractions because you're in a dark room and, you know, you're just literally focusing on the screen. And that's when usually you can remember the movie a lot more. So if you find that when you're watching a movie at home, you don't really remember much of it, or you don't pay attention to it as much, but you do remember a lot about the films that you go and see at the cinema, it's simply because our focus is different in those situations. Our focus is more attentive when we're at the cinema because we're in a dark room, pretty much, and we are watching a screen that is directly in front of us. I often find that if I really like a TV program, it's much better for me to focus my attention on it. Usually with things like the news, I don't really mind that much if I multitask, but if I'm watching a TV program like an episode of The Simpsons, or watching, you know, a good program on Netflix that I'm really into and stuff, I feel much happier when I'm truly just focusing on that episode and not anything else. But if I'm watching something and I'm looking at my phone at the same time, and I'm trying to focus on two things at once, I notice that my mood actually dips, and it's a very strange experience. Those are my personal areas that I try not to multitask in, because those are the ones that I actually really notice if my mood is dipping. So I notice if my mood is dipping if I'm multitasking while I'm reading, or if I'm trying to listen to a loved one, I find that my mood is dipping, and then I feel bad because I haven't listened properly or something like that. And also watching a TV program or a movie that I find really interesting. And of course there are areas that you can multitask in. So one of these things could be cooking. You know, you can listen to the radio while you cook, or you can have the TV on in the background while you cook. One of the things I do is listen to an audiobook while I'm cooking, or listening to a motivational program while I'm cooking. And it's true that I don't listen to it as much, but what I also understand is that the subconscious mind still takes in that information, and especially if it's information that I want programmed into my mind, I usually have that on in the background while I'm doing other stuff. And the same goes for things like cleaning as well. You can listen to something or do something else while you're cleaning, but it's better to actually be listening to something rather than trying to clean and talk to someone at the same time. It's much better and much easier if you are doing something that you could passively listen to while you are cooking, cleaning, that kind of thing. Another area you can multitask in is video games, especially if the video game is relatively easy, like it's not a competitive game. So if it's something, you know, like Tetris, you can listen to an audiobook while you're playing Tetris. And before I became a coach and a mentor, one of the things that I used to do was I used to listen to a lot of audiobooks, a lot of seminars, a lot of other kind of motivational stuff and personal development material when I was playing video games, because I found that was an easier way for me to get information into my brain. So I have a theory on why focusing on one thing boosts our mood. And I think it's to do with the fact that time passes quicker when you are focusing on something. So what I found is when I'm editing, or when I'm writing, or when I'm reading, time passes much quicker, because usually when we are enjoying something and really paying attention to something, time passes very quickly. And that makes you feel happy. That it's like what, you know, Einstein said that time is relative. So when you're doing something that you hate, or when you're doing something grueling and the time passes really, really slowly. So ultimately what I found is when I'm focusing on one thing and truly paying attention to it and focusing with my full attention, my mood boosts. So what are some ways that you can boost your retention, shall we say? Boost your focus so you become more focused. And I believe there's two good ways, and these two ways have personally helped me. One way is by reading, having a set amount of time. So let's say you have 20 minutes or half an hour to read each day. Make sure that in that time you pay full attention to reading and just sitting there reading, don't have any distractions. So maybe turn off your phone or have it on airplane mode, or you know, just have it on mute or put it in a different room. So if someone, you know, wants to contact you in an emergency, they can get a hold of you. Reading is a great way to focus your attention. Another way is by meditation. And what you can do is you can just listen to a meditation, or you can just sit down and look at a flame on a candle for a long period of time. And if you find this is hard to do, then perhaps just do it for about a minute. And then maybe tomorrow you can try and do it for 2 minutes or 5 minutes, you know, build yourself up to be able to focus for longer periods of time. And that really has helped me with my mood and learning how to focus more. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this one unique way to boost your mood. Let me know down in the comments if you have any other ways that you can boost your mood. And also let me know if you will try any of these things and see if you notice any differences. If you enjoyed this video, then please like and subscribe. And if you would like coaching or mentoring from me personally, then head over to www.christineloveridge.com/shop. Or alternatively, you can email me in the email provided in the description box. And I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye, guys.